Hello, I'm Kads, and welcome back to the free-to-play review. So today we are going to be reviewing the latest iteration of the summon pool, specifically the Nightmare summon pool, so continuing with the Halloween themes. So first things to notice here are the cost. We are back down to 20 Prism Crystals per summon. Oh, wow, that's weird. Little UI error going on there. But we're back to 20 Prism Crystals per pull, which does mean, or it does imply, that there's probably rares in the pool. So you can see that here. 3% Legendary, 37% Epic, and 60% Rare. So most likely to get a rare, but nonetheless, there still is a chance that you might get some Legendaries out of it. Now, if we're talking about comparison here, 3% Legendary is roughly, or is exactly 3 times the rate of an Ancient Shard on a 2x. So it's not great, but it's also not bad. If we're thinking about the champions in the pool, I think it's a decent mix. There are some good ones here. Wither the Crown, one of the best healers in the game. Xavia, one of my dream girls. Poison Explosion, which is not as meta nowadays, but still she's a decent a champion who can do fun things. Battle Khazar, one of the best solo IG dragon champions in the game, at least for normal mode. Shemnath, pretty decent nuker, half rack. One of the stone skin nuisances that we have in the arena. Knock the Paralyzer somewhat doesn't get a lot of play, but he is pretty decent in the same category as Battle Khazar. We can kind of do the solo poisoner type strategies, specifically in a regen set. Calvlax, Poison Explosion, again, is what he's known for. And then Mishald is kind of an all-around kid. He's good in Hydra, he's good in Demon Lord Clan Boss, good in Faction Wars, good wherever you need a bunch of true figures. He can good in Arena to a degree as well. The epics are not as good. There are some good ones in here, like Rector Wrath, really good for Hydra, of course. Faction Wars. Husk is good for Hydra. Miscreated Monster is good for like old school normal mode Spider. Darendil, I've heard he hits really, really hard for an epic. Gore Grab, decent reviver again. Allure, the Queen, Fire Knight, Magdar, the best HP based nuker epic in the game. So decent, but it's like half of the epics are good, whereas I would say majority of the legendaries are pretty decent. And then rares, there's really not much to say there. I mean, Abyssal would be nice for like rare secret rooms, but it's also a rare, so you're not really going to struggle to get most of these champions over time. So, you know, we don't really care about the rares too much. Now, as far as the sources, I was actually surprised, very pleasantly, I should say, pleasantly surprised by this. So we do have 10 up for grabs in the Fusion warm-up event here. So if you're preparing for the Fusion, all you have to do is level up some artifacts a little bit each day, and you'll get your 15 points towards the 60. There's also some Halloween points in here, honestly a substantial amount. You get 240, so that's a pretty decent chunk, especially if you're not trying too hard in the Titan event. 240 points is a substantial move in that direction. So we do get 10. I'll get my 10 tomorrow once the reset happens for the game. But yeah, so there's 10 from here, and then there's also 50, which this is what surprised me. You guys can't see my notes, but my guess was actually that this was going to offer like 20 or 30 crystals overall. But it turns out in this Fire Knight Turn Attack tournament, which I did show my team for that on yesterday's video, if you want to check that out, put it in the card above. But yeah, there's a node for 10, and then there's a node for 40. So overall 50, which means as far as the relatively speaking, relatively easy to obtain ones, we get a total of 60 or 3 free summons. And as I highlighted in yesterday's video on this topic, that this Turn Attack tournament, because it does include 4 different factions, it's a lot broader and thus a lot easier and more accessible for people to be able to compete in. Not necessarily to compete for the top spot for the Relentless, but you're more able to complete just the rewards on the right. However, bearing in mind that this is unfortunately a 2-day event, so you will have to get all 6,000 points if you're going for all 50 of the crystals. You will have to get all 6,000 points over the course of today and tomorrow, which of course is my plan, because you know I would love the opportunity. I don't expect to get a legendary at all from any of the summons, but passing on a chance to get Xavia and or Battle Khazar is definitely worth it, or worth pursuing. So I'm going to be trying to max that out. Also, it is during it is CVC active right now, so running stage 25 dungeons is a good thing as well as far as CVC points. Not as fast as Spider per se, but it's still a decent amount of points. And since I mentioned the Titan event, I might as well show you guys here that I'm actually already all the way at 1,000 points. So I do have the 4-star Wukong Soul. I went Soul Reap on my Wukong, if anyone was curious. So I only have 500 points to go, and I've done everything so far. So I still have that 250 buffer if I do want to skip something in the future. But it just so happens that all of these challenge tournaments over the past week and a half or so, they offered Eternal Soul Coins at the top. So you can see as an example here, this Ice Golem one. They offered Eternal Soul Coins here at the top, which was also something I wanted to get because all of those convert to Essence for me, and I'm saving up for a 6-star Rotos, of course, as I mentioned before. And so I was encouraged to go for the top reward regardless of the points. And I know a lot of people would probably stop at the points if they only wanted to get that far. But since I wanted to do all of that, it's honestly been a huge drain on my resources overall. You can see my gem count's pretty low because I usually do like to keep it above 4,000. But the reason I keep the floor of 4,000 is so that I can go below it on stuff like this where I feel like I need to use it. It burns some energy to do extra things. But anyways, the main takeaway here is that I encourage you to participate in the Turn Attack tournament, and I hope you are doing the Fusion warm-up because that's pretty much a gimme. And so you could earn yourself up to 3 summons, and most likely, of course, you're going to walk away with 3 rares, which will be unfortunate. But there's always a chance, just like with any random ancient shard you open, there's a chance that you could get a legendary. So it might be worth it for you guys if you want to participate. And if you do participate, be sure to let me know what you got in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear if any of you got lucky. So that's going to do it for this review of the Nightmare Summon Pool. As always, if you did find this video helpful, then be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you enjoyed the video, then be sure to subscribe to the channel for more content just like this one. Thanks for watching, and have a good one.